Video, we are going to be talking about climate change and its effects on small island developing states. One cannot deny the harsh realities of climate change and its adverse effects on our Earth. There is a consensus among scientists that greenhouse gas emissions are altering the atmosphere in ways that eventually contribute to higher temperatures and global warming. It represents the latest in a series of environmental drivers of human conflict that have been identified in recent decades, following others which include drought, desertification, land degradation, failing water supplies, deforestation, fisheries depletion, and even ozone depletion. One example that we could take is Australia's forest fires that were caused by rising levels of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, mostly from fossil fuel burning, which has driven more dangerous bushfires, rising sea levels, and a rapid rise in the days where temperatures reach extreme levels. Security analysts and academics have warned for some time now that climate change threatens water and food security, the allocation of resources, and coastal populations, threats which in turn could increase forced migration, raise tensions, and trigger conflict. A June 2007 report by the United Nations Environment Programme suggested that the conflict in Darfur has in part been driven by climate change and environmental degradation. Over the past 40 years, rainfall in the region has fallen by 30% and the Sahara has advanced by more than a mile every year. The resulting tension between farmers and herders over disappearing pasture and declining water holes underpins the genesis of the Darfur conflict. Moving to the small island developing states, they are a group of 52 countries and territories, mainly islands, which were designated by the United Nations to collectively address their development and sustainability concerns. Most of the small island developing states are isolated communities, small in size and dependent on natural resources with local land-based livelihoods. Although these countries are among the least responsible for climate change, they are likely to suffer the most from its adverse effects and could in some cases even become uninhabitable. Small island developing states face numerous challenges. For a significant number, their remoteness affects their ability to be a part of the global supply chain, increases import costs, especially for energy, and limits their competitiveness in the tourist industry. Many are increasingly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, from devastating storms to the threat of sea level rise. Climate projections suggest that significant climate change and sea level rise are expected in all regions during the 21st century. Subsequently, small island developing states face the certain prospect of increased challenges to their efforts to achieve sustainable development. Climate change is likely to have far ranging effects on the environment and economic prospects of small island developing states, as well as on the health of the people living in these areas. Moving to the policies that have been adopted to reduce the threats of climate change on small island developing states. It was only in 2007 that the UNHC held its first debate on the impact of climate change on security and peace. Over the recent years, both China and Russia, each permanent member of UNHC with veto powers, have been rather critical about discussing climate change in the UNHC. Before the adoption of the Paris Agreement on Climate Change in 2015, China and Russia feared that acknowledging climate change as a security issue would open up the possibility of using UNHC instruments for countries that were not reducing emissions. While multilateral environmental agreements like the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is also the UNFCCC, recognize the enormous global challenges posed by climatic changes, these agreements often fall short on pragmatic financial and other mechanisms to assist the most vulnerable countries in addressing these challenges. Out of the 52 small island developing states, 41 small island developing states are currently parties to the UNFCCC, and 29 are also signatories to the Kyoto Protocol. Many small island developing states are members of the Alliance of Small Island States, and 11 out of which are listed to be the least developed countries. On climate change specifically, the Article 3.1 of UNFCCC provides that the parties should protect the climate system for the benefit of present and future generations of humankind on the basis of equity and in accordance with their common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capacities. Accordingly, the developed country parties should take the lead in combating climate change and the adverse effects thereof. The Article 3.2, which also states that the specific needs and special circumstances of developing country parties, especially those that are particularly vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change, should be given full consideration.
Apart from the United Nations, the small island developing nations have formed an intergovernmental organization called the Alliance of the Small Island Developing States, comprising of nations which are low-lying and small in territory. As mentioned on their official website, this was created in 1990 to voice the issues of climate change, global warming, and the rising levels of water at the international arena in a united front. This organization is recognized and closely works with the UNFCCC and helps in advocating for socio-economic and environmental issues and policies at the international level. The climate scientists, activists have shown us overwhelming presence of scientific evidence of how the greenhouse gas impact the earth, with rising number of floods, shorter and warmer seasons, rising level of water, erosion, melting of glaciers, and other phenomena around climate change are shared problems of the world. Yet their impact can be felt more severely on small island developing nations. But a lot of the developed nations fail to recognize this as a common issue. The idea that many nations' industrialization process has what led to the present day crisis and they should be held accountable led to the formation of common but differentiated responsibilities in Principles 7 and 9 in the Rio Declaration on Environment and Development. Common but differentiated responsibilities holds the developed nations of the world accountable for their actions that led to the current situation in terms of climate change. But the direct effect of those are on SIDs. More than the developed nation, it is the small island developing nations that are working to mitigate climate change. The global north accommodates by paying off the developing nations to reduce their carbon emissions. The small island developing nations have been promoting solar panels, have been promoting the no use of single-use plastic and more sustainable methods of development in the nation. The constant debate around the fact that the global north is being completely ignorant to the effects of the climate change and is constantly violating norms in order to economically grow as a nation is very vivid. As we look at the climate change adaptation and mitigation, we understand that it requires an enormous amount of technology, financial assistance, policies and governance for it to work. The fact that the global north is evading from these responsibilities towards the small island developing nations, it puts a lot of pressure on them to not only protect their land but also develop it. This asymmetry in the international community increases the gap of vulnerabilities between the global north and the global south. Hence, it becomes extremely important for nations to pay attention and contribute significantly in mitigating the same. Today, it is coming from the SIDs, but sooner or later, the climate change is going to cross the entire world. The effects of the same can be seen in Texas, which recently suffered from a snowstorm, which is a drastic change in their climate, which is a proof of the fact that that climate change is real and there are rising and dropping of temperatures around the world. The rising unavailability of fresh water, for instance, is also an extremely big concern. Soon these nations are projected to run out of drinking water, and not only small island developing nations, but this can be seen in cities like Cape Town, which have already run out of water. It is important to understand the importance of these resources and work in order to protect them. In one of the keynote speeches, Carlos Fuller, a deputy director of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, posed a question, and I quote, "Why should small island developing states be concerned about climate change?" In responding to this question, Fuller argued that although small island developing states have been very effective in climate change negotiations since 1990 and have maintained this stature for 21 years, they have still not reaped the benefits of their endeavors, and it is important for them to do so. The way ahead. The solution to the development of small island developing states also lies in the type of the economic transitions that these states go through. The small island developing states, unlike any other nation, does not follow the traditional path from primary to secondary to tertiary sector. Because of its less population and lack of resources, the development in these nations are limited, and on top of that, the need of the hour, that the climate change requires more attention. The developing nations are now being pushed to take strict actions against climate change. Nations are facing the brunt of climate change, and with varied number of natural disasters occurring all around the world. One of the recent big steps that United States took was join the Paris Agreement to tackle the problem of climate change. This promotes the idea that more and more developed nations need to join hand to tackle the problem, and as this is going to sooner or later affect us all. As building a manufacturing base in remote island located away from global market is not a viable option, henceforth fishery and agriculture is the only source of economic development in these nations. And these nations have taken an initiative to contribute largely towards mitigating the climate change, from setting up solar panels to putting mangroves, zero plastic, and strict laws against climate degradation. It is high time all the nations around the world realize the need and contribute to save our home. In conclusion, I would like to add that the impact of climate change is crossing boundaries and is not just limited to the small island developing nations. These nations are the first to face the brunt of the climate change, but slowly and gradually it is coming for all the nations. The nations have to realize that it is high time they contribute not only in policies but also financially, assisting the small island nations and towards mitigating the climate change. The United Nations has also taken many steps to cater the same issue with regards to bringing up new policy around the climate refugees and towards recognizing the importance of the small island developing nations. As scientists have pointed out again and again, climate change is just not limited to a small number of nations, but it goes throughout the world, and hence it is important for all the nations to contribute towards mitigating climate change.